Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
Welcome back to the Steve and Larson Pro Wrestling Podcast. It's muscle memory. I'm still trying to get over the fact that we're no longer going in Raw. For now, we are Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. We got a jam-packed episode today. We're going to be talking about NXT on the road to whatever they're on the road to. Are they on the road to anything right now?
Well, I don't know when their next premium live event is, but they started the process of booking JC Jane's opponent for Evolution, so I guess that would be next.
Right, that's right. The title will be defended at Evolution. We have also got the lowdown on the latest AEW Dynamite Summer Blockbuster, where a new championship title has been revealed. They're going to mash together the Intercontinental Championship and the International Championship and not call it the Intercontinental Championship. Instead, it's the Unified Championship. So we'll talk about that as well, along with everything that happened on Dynamite. But first up, let's talk about what you want us to talk about. This is one of my favorite posts on this was from a friendo named Ninja Gabe. And this is great because it's kind of in line. We can co-promote our episode that we did on Friendo Club last night, responding to negative comments.
Yes.
Because Ninja Gabe here says, because I put up a thread asking people, hey, what do you guys want us to talk about on the Thursday news show? Because
which is a normal thing. It's a normal thing.
There's a ton of like news out there that we, we pick and choose oftentimes what we feel is important to talk about in the silly wrestling world. But there's a lot of little things that get lost, in the shuffle, or we might not think that you guys care about, but that's why we want to know what you guys want us to talk about. And so this Ninja Gabe fella says, are we really getting stories for you? And my response was, you didn't give a shit, but a lot of others did. But I said it with a smiling emote and a JK.
Well, that makes it all right then.
So, it's exactly. But they responded with well played. So all in good fun. But yeah, we do want to know what the people want us to talk about because oftentimes they want to get our opinion on stuff. So, and there was a ton of them in this one, but we're going to start off with this one because this was the most thumbs upped story for us to talk about. And it's about something that's in our sphere. And it's, of course, Diehard Homer brings up Adam Pacitti leaving Cultaholic. Now, Larson, I think it was like last week, 2 weeks ago, somebody had brought up Pacitti just in general, I think.
Yeah.
And I had said, this guy is so damn talented. He's so witty. He's so funny. He's so smart. He's too good for us, for pro wrestling content. Why doesn't he go out and get a show with the BBC? I'll load up NordVPN. I'll get on the BBC iPlayer.
Yeah.
I'll watch that shit.
Heck yeah, he's hilarious.
He could be the next Ricky Gervais. I don't know if that's meant these days as a compliment or not, what the perception of his, but
I don't know.
And then this guy goes and takes my advice?
Well, this is like me taking partial credit for your predictions win.
Do you think this is not coincidence, though? That was coincidence.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the timetable is for him making the decision to take his leave from Cultaholic. So he put a lengthy Instagram post up. I think it was 10 slides. I read them all.
Way too much.
It was a lot.
I was flipping through this thing looking for, like, with
your
that
name,
being
weren't you?
with that being said, I'm off to space.
Yeah.
I'm leaving to go to my planet.
I thought you were going through there to see if he mentioned us.
No, but I did. Hey, somebody did mention that they mentioned us in their like hour-long podcast talking about themselves. And sure enough, at the 1:05 mark, good old Steve Larson get the praise we deserve.
Every interaction we've had with Adam and the rest of the Cultaholic crew has been an absolute delight. The nicest people. We did the shows with Sam and Ross when they were in Vegas, I think. Was it Vegas?
Yeah, we did the Straight to Hell thing.
Yeah, we did Straight to Hell thing.
Yeah.
We got the opportunity to meet Adam a few times. Just absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
This seems to be a situation where he just wants to do other things. As said in his Instagram post, he's not doing any more wrestling content. And, it seems like he's leaving on good terms.
Yeah.
And wish the absolute best for Adam. He's hilarious. A good dude.
Yeah.
And hopefully just the best for him.
Yeah. I stumbled into some prognostication with this one because I'm assuming he didn't do it because of what I said. It can't be over. The wrestling, the digital media landscape for wrestling, digital content landscape has changed drastically from when we started back in 2014 with the podcast.
Yeah.
And it can't be, and around the same time, of course, the Cultaholic guys, along with Simon Miller and Adam Blampied, they had all started, or they had all, been a part of What Culture Wrestling, and then they left to do their own thing. And it can't be overstated the contribution that Adam and those dudes made to what we do, along with guys like Brian Zane as well, of course, and the Wrestle Talk fellas. It can't be overstated what they mean to us professionally. As you said, every interaction we've had with them has been just a delight. And, I'm so sad that we never made our way over to England to collaborate with them in some way, shape, or form. Besides obviously, when we were on Straight to Hell.
Yeah.
But Adam in particular, just a super sharp guy. And yeah, man, I hope this dude, flies as high as his ceiling is, because his ceiling is immense.
Yeah.
So yeah. And of course, this is full transparency. I have this fool in the thumbnail says headed to WWE. But underneath it, probably not. We're in the business of selling people on viewing our content. And so I thought it'd be fun to include him in the thumbnail. Just an absolutely lovely guy.
Yeah.
All the best wishes and successes coming his way, and continued success for the Cultaholic guys.
Absolutely.
Who are all in their own way incredibly talented, very smart, very lovely people. So if you haven't already, they're OGs. Go sub to Cultaholic.
Yes, absolutely.
And support them.
Everything every interaction we've had with Sam, with Ross, with Jack, Matthew.
Yeah.
Just all awesome people. And they produce awesome content every single day. So yes, go give them a sub.
Yeah, absolutely. More stuff that you want us to talk about. Let's see here. Next up. Oh, the Champ 0725 mentions Tempest is leaving Wrestle Talk, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that too. I
saw this here. This is the worst timing for him. Wait a week. You got to wait a week on this, man. You're in the shadow of Pacitti now, man.
I can't explain that. He posted at least something on Blue Sky saying, after 7 years, it's time to do other things.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, not very many content creators. Kind of, if you look at an overview, like the lifespan of most content channels isn't that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In terms of their peak. Yeah. And to see that Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk have been doing it for so long at such a high level is really darn impressive.
Yeah.
And again, we've had a few interactions with Tempest, primarily on when we were doing Quizzlemania.
Yeah.
Seemed like a cool dude.
Yeah, lovely guy.
Yeah. And again, wishing him the best.
He moved to England to be part of that crew.
Yeah.
And he sees what's happening over here. He's like, I got to get back for that action. He's like, oh man, I want a part of that. So best of luck to Tempest with whatever he takes on next. Lovely guy. But yeah, dude, are you next, dude? Or is this going to be, everything the celebrity deaths happen in threes. Is it the same with wrestling content creators leaving?
I was going to save this next time we played basketball, but I can confirm that,
okay.
I used to joke that I used to have a job at the Department of Forestry. Well, it's come to fruition now. I spoke it into existence. I got a stable government job, solid pay that I could rely on.
Yeah, right.
Health insurance.
Yeah.
A retirement.
That's all good stuff.
It's the boring, safe choice.
Right.
So... see you later, everybody.
It's because in the negative comments video, somebody said they want your manhood in them. That's why. You're like, okay, this is crossing line.
Again, I'm sure like Pacitti's decision, this decision originated a long time ago.
Okay.
You know, it's the process.
You've been trying to get into that gig since 2015. Since we got laid off, you were like, I got to find a real job. And 10 years later, you accomplished that goal.
Next up here from Go Birds. Says Goldberg reportedly coming back next week. It's from bodyslam.net. Apparently,
okay,
Goldberg.
Wait. Possible spoiler alert here.
Possible spoiler alert. Although I think this has been supposition and speculation for a while now, ever since Goldberg had that thing with Gunther months ago, and then they announced Saturday night's main event for Atlanta the weekend of July 12th.
Yeah, so, you know, he might be coming back soon to like one of the WWE weekly programs. I'm just saying some people might want to keep their spoiler, you know, they might want to be surprised if there's a big Bill Goldberg fan.
Let's not get into specifics about the when and where.
Mm-hmm.
In generalities, seems like we're getting Goldberg versus Gunther for potentially Goldberg's final match.
Yeah, you just said Saturday night's main event. But in terms of like when he's coming back immediately. I don't think it's going to be look, this is going to be a real test for Gunther, right? Like, geez, can this guy actually like carry Goldberg to a good match at the age of 89 years old?
I don't know, but if so, then be quite a feat.
Yeah. How long do you think this match is going to be?
It's got to be under 7 minutes.
You think so? It's his last match.
What's more fitting to wrap up Goldberg's career than having a short match?
I mean, I get it. That's like, okay, so here we go. Goldberg Bobby Lashley was 11 minutes 25 seconds.
That's the one that went all over the arena, though, right?
And that is definitely an outlier because get this. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg in Saudi, 6 minutes. Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg 7 minutes. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, 2.5 minutes. Braun Strowman versus Goldberg, 2 minutes. Goldberg versus The Fiend, 3 minutes. Goldberg Dolph Ziggler, 1 minute. Undertaker versus Goldberg, 8.5. I feel like this. It's his last one. I feel like it's going to go 8.
All right, over under 7.5 minutes. That's the bet.
Yeah, that's a bet. That's the bet. Yeah,
that's the bet.
I'll be a prop bet right there.
Mr. Enlightened says WWE draft shift into after SummerSlam this year. This is also from Body Slam.
Yeah,
the idea that they want to do it post SummerSlam. To kind of do like the season premiere.
Is that why Ricky Starks is back on NXT?
Could be.
Because they're like, hey, listen, we're going to bring you up for the draft, but it's not happening until after August, so you got to mill about in NXT.
Yeah. It could be the same with Jordan Grace then too.
That could be the same there too.
She was on NXT this week as well.
Yeah, she's trying to get in on that Evolution match.
Yeah, so. Yeah, at this point, I'm kind of even surprised they're doing a draft. We had some call-ups. Technically, call up anybody at any time. You need to do it through the draft. It's been well established.
Yeah.
To work out a couple trades, if you want some talent to shift shows, you don't need to do a draft. Do a draft just kind of when they think it's creatively interesting to do the draft rather than having to do an every year thing. But I get it. It's probably one of those things that for the week, it pops a number because people are like, oh, the draft, something exciting could happen. Rarely does it. And the draft doesn't really have much to do with the stories being told on the show, and the stories being told in the show don't really inform the draft that much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a gimmicky thing more than anything.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's are they gonna actually maximize the potential of a cool draft? Probably not. Do they care about the brand split? Nope.
No.
So, I mean, they can justify any challenger for any title. Maybe there's a situation like, for example, like the tag division on Raw versus SmackDown is very lopsided. Maybe they want to like realign that a little bit. I don't know. Like the brand split means nothing these days. So like, What does it matter?
Doesn't.
What does it matter?
It doesn't really. Lord Blake Whitehouse says Rick Boogs cast in the revival of American Gladiators.
That's the most Rick Boogs thing he could possibly do.
1,000%. I don't know if there's anybody better suited to be on American Gladiators right now.
Here's my only like point of concern there.
Hmm.
If he's the type of dude that they're going to bring in. Did you ever watch that docu-series on?
No, I didn't. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it should have been like an hour and a half, but it was like 3 1-hour-long episodes. And it was really good because it's like, something out of our childhood.
Yeah.
But like the dudes they had on before, by and large, I mean, they were buff guys, but the more successful ones were like sort of athletic as opposed to just buff.
Yeah.
Boogs is muscle on muscle. I don't know what he looks like now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still occasionally will see his workout videos posted on
Is it still
social
just
media.
obscene
He's,
amount?
He's squatting 700 pounds while playing a guitar solo still,
Like, this is like real. I mean, dude, you remember Gladiators? Like that whole like the football field thing where they would dunk stuff into the bins or whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's one of those things away from just like busting his quads or something.
I will say this. He is massively huge.
Yeah.
He is a former collegiate wrestler, amateur wrestler.
Yeah.
A highly successful one at that. So there's some athleticism there.
I don't doubt that. I just, I hope the dude properly athletically prepares himself for what this is.
It's
and
different training for athletic stuff as opposed to be jacked, yes.
Because this isn't just like, hey, go out there and look huge.
Yeah.
It's like you got to, and I know, like, dude, they used to bring on some, like the Joes used to be some pretty athletic dudes and, and the gals as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for new Gladiators. Yeah, 1,000%.
This is the one The Miz is hosting, right? So maybe they're leaning a bit more into the personalities of the gladiators and not so much
Boogs has got a lot of personality.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Joker Smiley here says, Cody says the Bullet Club wasn't viewed as cool until he joined. It's the opposite, actually.
Yeah, it's the opposite. So ostensibly he said, this is on his podcast that he did, Damian Priest was the guest, and he basically said, Finn and AJ during their times as Bullet Club leaders, even though AJ disputes that he was leader, they were cool, but they weren't making money. When he joined, they were making money hand over fist, but they became really like the least cool thing. So that's the actual quote. Do you agree with that quote?
No, I think there was a time when the Elite were front and center with the Bullet Club, but they were still viewed as cool. So if they weren't, I don't think they would have been making money like they were.
I think that there's like a difference between being cool and being like mainstream cool.
Yeah.
Because like when he joined, I remember when he joined, the Elite were already like really leaning into the Elite branding as opposed to the Bullet Club branding. Like the Finn and AJ eras were like the coolest eras. And then like Cody showed up and he had like just like one small Bullet Club logo in his Wrestle Kingdom debut on his boot. But yeah, I mean, especially compared to like WWE at the time, WWE was like putting Jinder on as champion and it was like the least cool thing. And so anything in comparison is like really cool. So Bullet Club was really cool when Cody was there, but compared to the Finn and AJ era is not nearly as cool.
So like the Finn and AJ eras, the Bullet Club felt more dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, which is cool.
And yeah, by the time Kenny took over, not quite as dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that's the major difference.
When they're doing like goofy ass skits for being the Elite, I mean, it's cool in a way, but it's also really dorky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say that.
Yeah, the dangerous aspect of Bullet Club kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah, for sure.
But they grew in popularity. So
yeah. By the way, it's a really good listen. I listened to a lot. Well, not a lot, but I listened to like bits and pieces of the podcast. And Priest is so good. There is this one hilarious, really sadly hilarious bit because Priest mentions being so poor that he had his gear stolen out of his car and he had to retire from wrestling for a year until he got a job to pay for new gear. And Cody was like, well, wait a second. Why wasn't your gear on you? Why was it in your car? And Priest looks at him dead and says, because I was homeless. Cody's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was pretty funny. Anyways, before we continue on with our AEW and NXT recaps, we've got a sponsor for the show, Larson.
We do. Let's take a break, get a word from our sponsor, Tempo. Summer is nearly here, Steve, and with all the barbecues and road trips and family vacations and other activities I got in the docket over the next couple months, thinking it might be tough for Larson here to keep up with his healthy eating habits with so much going on.
That's right. Well, if you think you got to turn to easy meal solutions that may compromise your nutrition this summer, think again. Tempo makes staying on track easy, offering fresh protein-packed meals that are ready to eat in just 3 minutes. Tempo's perfectly portioned meals take all the guesswork out of eating well, so you can maintain your healthy lifestyle without sacrificing taste or convenience.
You know, I see here that Tempo has new recipes each week, like barbecued pulled pork and sweet potato skillets and sweet chili meatballs that are made with real, nutrient-rich ingredients. They also offer meals like their protein-packed options that fit my dietary preferences. Steve, you know me. I got to get my protein in every day.
Absolutely. And for a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/raw. That's tempomeals.com/raw for 60% off your first box. Tempomeals.com/raw. Rules and restrictions may apply.
All right, let's talk about AEW Dynamite.
Summer blockbuster.
Summer blockbuster. I didn't get a chance to watch Collision. I was busy last evening, so I barely had enough time to watch Dynamite before we started the show today.
You're busy? You're watching the NBA Finals like me?
No, I wasn't doing that. I thought the first hour, especially Dynamite, was really, really good. I thought there were some good storyline developments. I thought the Ospreay Swerve match was awesome in a completely different way than their first match was awesome. Yeah, this is a slow grind, probably more violent, vicious match than their first one. Mm-hmm. And I thought the angle at the end with Ospreay making the save for Swerve was really well done and really effective. In fact, my youngest daughter was here watching the beginning of Dynamite with me, and she saw that, and she doesn't know anything about Swerve and Ospreay's history. I tried to explain it to her a little bit, and she was like, "Oh my gosh." She was really concerned for Will Ospreay's well-being.
Yeah.
In that moment, it's like he's a really good friend to Swerve.
Yeah.
It's like he is a really good friend to Swerve. So, months ago we had speculated that Swerve and Hangman were going to team up against the Young Bucks at All In. Obviously, Hangman's challenging Box for the title. Seems likely now we're going to get Swerve and Ospreay teaming up against the Young Bucks, and them coming together as a team will probably lead to them and Hangman coming together. Because you got to think at a certain point with Hangman saying, Ospreay, if you got my back going to All In, I have yours. There's going to be a situation where Ospreay and Swerve are getting beat down by the Death Riders and the Young Bucks, and Hangman is compelled to help Ospreay, but by doing so, he's going to help Swerve too, and that's going to start the process, I think, of the reconciliation. Because that's one thing Christopher Daniels said to kick off the show. There's a lot of people backstage that don't like you. You got to start working on that.
Yeah, they are doing so clearly Hangman is not trying to build, but there is a coalition building up around Hangman now, because he got the Ops coming to his aid last night. And this is going to play out one of two ways. Either this is all going to come together in a Cody Vengers type way at All In, or this coalition is going to end up being kind of the thing that ends up costing Hangman, and then we're back to Darby. You know what I mean? And because I know that all the backstage reporting is Darby's probably off. But and I still feel like Hangman's going to win, but I do like that heading into All In, they're doing a really good job building this up. But you could also tell a lot of stories coming out of it if it doesn't work. Ospreay and Swerve being on the same page. Well, if they get on the same page, but then fail to accomplish the mission of helping Hangman get that title off Mox, then that might actually be more interesting after the fact if they then get into a renewed feud over that.
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see the pieces come together in advance of All In. And in advance of All In, like a month from now, are the pieces going to look like they're perfectly in place? In which case, is it like, oh, God, this might fall apart? Or are the pieces going to look like, oh, man, this is on rickety ground at best? And that might mean that it'll all come together. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of misdirection, I think, might lead us to the right conclusion.
Yeah.
But I really like the way the story's being told. I didn't see, they did such a great job last night after the Osprey match of Osprey selling that match, that when he dove in front of Swerve taking that super kick, it was complete. I was like, oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah. And they framed it just about as perfect as
they framed it perfectly.
Yeah.
TV direction was really good on that.
Yep.
So I thought that was very, very effective. And then the ops helping out Hangman later on, I thought was really good. And it's like, kind of in the same vein as like Jey Uso losing the title, because they had set up him sacrificing himself too much to keep that title against Gunther. Death Riders have alienated so many people, and Hangman's journey has been so strong, and everybody's role in that journey has naturally led us to this place where they could all come together and understand what Hangman is deep down.
Yeah.
The right person.
Yeah.
To beat Mox.
Yeah. Well, I think it all comes down to one person making that realization or not, and when it happens. And that's Swerve. Mm-hmm. If Swerve makes that realization before All In, I think it increases the odds, as you say, that Hangman may come up short at All In. But if it's a situation where we don't know what Swerve's going to do till All In, and then he helps Hangman, I think dramatically that's probably the more powerful way to go in terms of the drama of the match. Mm-hmm. But also, I think that increases the chances that Hangman is going to win.
Well, there's also there is a bit, and I don't know if you, because I caught this on the YouTube channel because I didn't get a chance to watch the Collision version, but there was a backstage with the Young Bucks and Hangman, and they're saying, "Yeah, this is all part of our plan, man. This is all part of our plan." Hangman's like, "There's no plan. I ain't talked to you guys in months. There's no plan. Stop saying there's a plan. And by the way, if you mess with Osprey again, you're going to have me to reckon with. And if you mess with Swerve again, you're going to have me to reckon with." And he dials that way back. Like he doesn't even want to say it.
Yeah.
But he realizes it's the right thing to say. He can't bring himself not to keep them away from Swerve.
Yeah.
And they all leave, and Nana had stuck his head out the door while this conversation was happening. And the camera goes back to him, and Osprey is laid out being tended to by a trainer, and Swerve enters the frame, and Nana says, "Swerve, did you hear all that?" And he says, "I heard every single word." So it is being set up really, really nicely for it either to just explode in disaster or to come together in a way that I think makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, that'd be really satisfying.
Hangman comes away with the title. Now, I'm curious. I would love to know, given that there seemed to be in the lead up to the Double or Nothing main event over who was going to win, Hangman or Osprey, which you and I had speculated. Basically, whoever won that match was going to be the guy to take down Mox, because they're both like the faces of the company.
Yeah.
And Osprey reportedly was angling for Hangman to win, and Hangman was angling for Osprey to win, saying, "No, this guy should win. This guy should win. This guy should be the world champion to beat Mox. No, this guy should be." And I wonder how this story would have played out had the decision been made for Osprey to be the guy to dethrone Mox at All In, assuming that's the situation. I wonder how this story would have been playing out now if Osprey had won, because now Osprey's in the position of being peacemaker. Well, how would Hangman and Swerve been able to overcome their differences to try to make Osprey the guy?
Yeah, I know that'd been the way it's set up now, with Osprey kind of being the intermediary between them.
It makes
he's got this agreement with Hangman. He's got this prior relationship with Swerve. They both said they're like really good friends and have been for a dozen years or so. Mm-hmm. Him being kind of the arbitrator and working out their issues seems to work really well. If he was in the position of, all right, I got this title shot, I need you two to get along and help me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, the dynamic would be a lot different, and I'm sure there's a way around it. It just seems right now, maybe because they're booking it so well, it works so well how they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and Ospreay is still going to have a prominent role in the story. He's going to have him and Swerve against the Young Bucks as a high-profile match. And the fallout, should Hangman win the title, is going to be pretty interesting, because I'm guessing one of the first things Ospreay is going to say, I had your back, you had mine, we're good. Maybe you owe me a title shot at Forbidden Door.
That could be. I mean, Forbidden Door, generally speaking, I don't know what it was last year. What was the title match at All In last year?
Was
it a cross promotional?
Oh, it was Swerve and Ospreay.
Oh, it was. Okay, so they kept it in house. Okay, yeah.
Especially with Forbidden Door being in England.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. I just wonder if they would do a straight up good guy, bad guy thing with Ospreay and somebody, like, because they've teased Ospreay versus MJF. You know, they could do a number one contenders thing there,
Possible.
where Ospreay could win and you know, and then move on to whatever the next thing is. But yeah, anyway you cook it, it looks like, and this is the direction that Hangman is going to win against Mox at All In. It makes all the sense in the world. It really should.
It does. And the fact that it's at this huge stadium show, the first in the States, you'd think they'd want to end that with a feel-good moment as opposed to another downer.
Yeah.
You know, they want to have, whether it's 20,000, 30,000, however many fans are going to be there, leaving that show happy, or at least satisfied with the outcome. And it feels like if you want to generate as much positive press as you can, you have a good, satisfying ending to that show. And Hangman winning at this point feels like that, as opposed to Mox winning, even if Darby comes back and sets up a title program with Mox. At this point, that doesn't feel nearly as satisfying as Hangman winning.
Yeah, I mean my words on that one, because I feel like the Death Riders, for the longest time, it was just sort of like, okay, line up person after person after person, in which case, okay, yeah, if you're going to do that, then it kind of does make sense to do Darby. But given that they've embraced the idea that Hangman's story is the story in AEW, like historically speaking, going back 6 years now, when so many other people who 6 years ago felt fresh and now they have fallen off big time, Hangman's the guy who's evolved and he's had that story continually going on. And it feels right to culminate here with him as champion. That you know, this is going to be, I'm glad that after, you know, trying so hard to figure out what AEW is, that they've been able to finally do that. You know, they got through the punk phase, they got through the let's sign up all the former WWE guys phase, and now they're on these are our ride or dies, and we are going to ride as a company with them, and they have all bought in. It makes it a very satisfying product.
It does. You know, when they're featuring the talents who are obviously really committed to the success of AEW, and it shows. It makes for a satisfying program, because when you hear Ospreay talk about, you know, hey, I love AEW, I want the best for this place, that means getting that title off Mox. You can tell he means it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You can tell he means that he genuinely appreciates what AEW is not only doing for his own career, but for the pro wrestling industry.
Yeah. Yep.
And it translates. I guess we can just jump into it. There's some other interesting stuff to talk about. Show opened with Tony Storm being ridden into the arena with Luther by, was it a bicycle or something like that?
Oh, was it like a bicycle with the big?
I couldn't tell. It was some sort of
cart situation. Yeah.
So then Hangman arrives, and then Christopher Daniels walks up to him and says, you know, you can't fight Death Riders by yourself. He said, I'd help you if I could, but I have friends in the locker room that'll be there if you need them. But there are people also in the locker room who have harsh feelings towards you. You might want to rectify that. So Paige kind of maybe nods a little bit, walks off. And as he's walking, the camera pans, and Mox has a hat on. He's kind of like standing in the corner, turned around all menacingly, takes the hat off. And then Death Riders follow Hangman into the arena. So later on, Hangman's supposed to be coming to the ring for a promo, but instead, he's been tied up by the Death Riders. He's got some duct tape over his mouth. And so Claudio and Yuta and Marina, they lead him to the ring. They're beating the heck out of him. Mox shows up with a mic, says, I'm terribly sorry about all this. It's just that I want to make sure that we can have a real conversation. I know that you're distracted. You get over your head. I know your head's all over the place. We need you focused. These people need you focused because this is your time. All in, the AEW title. For you, this is do or die. Mox says, I've been watching you for a long time. You're complicated. I don't like you for a long time. You've been searching high and low for something. You have exactly 4 weeks to find out what that is, to step up, become the man that everyone wants you to become. And if you're not going to do that, you can pack your shit and get the hell out. So Page lunges forward and headbutts Mox. But he's quickly tackled by the rest of the Death Riders. Marina puts in the Bulldog choke. Claudio gets a chair, wraps it around Hangman's neck. Is about to stomp on it when the Ops music hits. So Mox like, nope, we're not doing this. They leave. Ops come to the ring to make the save. Page gets freed, takes the mic, and as the Death Riders are making their escape through the crowd, he says, I've come too far for that to be the best that you got. I would ride through death itself to take that AEW title from you. If I find even one of you tonight, I'm going to take your head. So he picks up a chair and walks through the crowd in search of Death Riders.
That's right. That's right. We also had Ospreay versus Swerve 2, the match that opened the show. And yeah, it went to a 30-minute time limit draw. But like you said, it was just an excellent match.
Just a much slower pace, but the slower pace highlighted the intensity, especially when it started out with them shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
And, it got chippy pretty quick when Swerve hit Ospreay with an elbow against the ropes when there was supposed to be a break. During the course of this match, Swerve hits a dead eye. There's kickouts of house calls and hidden blades. Swerve kicked out of a Stormbreaker, so then Ospreay is calling for the Tiger Driver, but hesitates. Swerve escapes and hits Ospreay with a Vertebreaker, follows with a house call that sends Will out to the apron.
Mm-hmm.
So Swerve, he's really selling, because throughout the match he's selling knee. He's trying to get to the top rope as time is running out in the match. And he gets to the top. He's about to hit a stomp right as the bell rings, time limit draw. So Swerve tells Nana to get a mic. He says, I'm in so much pain. We just showed that we're the best. And you know what? The only way to prove that you're actually the best is to finish matches. He says, Will, I'm messed up pretty bad, and I know you are too. But I know you really want to beat me right now. Don't you? Sudden death.
And Will is out. He's
Yeah.
he's on the floor near commentary. He's just completely out.
Early in the match, he's bleeding from his nose. He looked beat to hell.
Yeah.
So before Tony Khan could tell commentary, let's restart the match, Death Riders music hits. They come in through the crowd. Young Bucks run in, lay out Swerve from behind, hit him with an EVP trigger. Nana tries to pull Swerve out of the ring, but Nick super kicks him. And then the Young Bucks handcuff Swerve to the middle rope, hit him with a bunch of super kicks. And then Yuta puts a bag into the ring, and Matt pulls out a pair of Swerve's Reebok shoes, and they got thumbtacks on the bottom. So each of the Young Bucks put on a shoe. They set up for more super kicks. But then as they're about to deliver it, Ospreay runs right in front of Swerve and just eats it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And immediately collapses, and Doctor's in right away. And the Young Bucks are like, holy shit. They're even kind of disturbed by that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they back out, and, the refs come down to get Swerve out of the handcuffs, and he's looking at Ospreay, and Doctor's got a towel over his head, and there's blood coming out of it. Really effective. Really effective.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. We had a new title unveiled yesterday because Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega signed their contract for All In, but that's not the only story beat here. So earlier in the show, Renee is interviewing Okada, asks if he's ready for Kenny at All In, and he's immediately interrupted by Don Callis. And he's like, I've got a question. Why is Okada in this match and not Fletcher or Takeshita? They've had a good run lately. He says, and he starts poking at Okada. Okada grabs his finger, and the Callis family come in. Okada just sort of looks at them all, calls Callis a bitch, and he leaves. So we get a really great video package as well on Okada and Omega's rivalry going back like a decade now. We have the contract signing in the main event of the Dynamite segment of Summer Blockbuster. Tony Schiavone's the host. He introduces Okada, then Omega. He says the winner of the match, and you got both the titles are on the table, and then in the middle you got one that's covered with the little sack thing. And he says, the winner of the match will be crowned the new AEW Unified Champion. Now, according to Fightful, the idea of this is to present it as like a secondary top title. And he unveils the title. You've seen it. Yeah. What is your thoughts on this title?
It's very gold. Yeah, especially the way it was lit. It was just hard to make out the details.
It's always hard. Yeah,
whenever you see an abundance of gold. Apparently, it's got one of the side plates on one side. It has Kenny delivering a one-winged angel. On the other side, it has Okada hitting a Rainmaker. Now, once they determine who wins, are they going to change those out so they're both one-winged angels or both Rainmakers? It'd be interesting rather than having names for side plates. They have their finishers.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be neat.
I'm trying to think like some of the more bizarre looking finishers to be on a side plate. What would Mox use? Because these days he does the Bulldog choke.
It'd probably be the Bulldog.
Yeah. Than the Paradigm Shift.
Yeah.
Trying to think, is there any weird ones? I mean, the Tombstone pile driver look kind of funny.
That's what I was going to say, Tombstone.
Dude's nose is in somebody's taint.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So they both come to the ring. Shivani announces the winner is going to be crowned the new... Oh, you got that already. So then Tony says time to sign the contract. So Okada signs first, passes it to Kenny, and Kenny says, it's been 7 years almost to the day since we had our last match. He says, watching that video package, I barely recognize myself, so let's leave it all in the ring and one final time for everything. So he signs. So him and Okada step up to each other. Kenny offers his hand. Okada shakes it. Kenny pulls Okada closer. They start talking shit when the Callis family brown note theme hits. So Callis walks to the stage and says, I have something very important to say. Kenny, you should be ashamed of yourself. This match should have not been between you and Okada. It should have involved Takeshita or Fletcher. And Kenny cuts him off and says, cut the shit, Don. We all know why you're here. I've beaten both of them. You won't ruin this match. If they want a title shot, they can get in line like everyone else. There's not one trick that you could pull that I don't know about. I know all your tricks. And Kenny says, you know all my tricks. You didn't see this one coming. So Okada blasts Kenny in the back with the Continental title. Callis gets in the ring, hands Okada a baton. And then Okada starts hitting Omega with it, once in the gut, once across the back. Medical staff gets in the ring to check on Kenny, and they bring the stretcher out. Kenny's spitting up blood.
Yeah, it was like an Invader 3 thing. Like there's so much blood coming. He obviously grabbed a little thing, swigged it, and
yeah.
It was very effective. It was comical. A very Kenny thing.
Yeah.
So Okada, is he going to be part of the actual Callis family now?
I don't know if that's necessary, really. I mean, if it's more of a situation where Okada's like, I'm a bad guy now, I don't mind cutting corners. If this helps me guarantee beat Kenny and become the first unified champion, then I'll do it. Some of those things, I don't know if they needed to go there. This match could get by on Okada versus Omega.
Yeah.
But if it adds an extra layer that makes it interesting, all right. See where it goes.
Well, yeah. I mean, Okada's been a bad guy. And they have sort of, in its infancy anyway, sort of presented this as, well, Okada respects nobody, but he respects Kenny.
Yeah.
And now you want that. Like, you don't want that. You want dastardly Okada to be dastardly. And I feel like this is a pretty decent way to get him there. Whether or not he actually becomes a member of the family, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But if there is something, I mean, if he sees like a temporary alliance as a good way to get his hands on that unified title, then there you go. Yeah, these things are, going back to the actual title, these things are never they never translate well on television. But then when you see like the render of it and like you see it properly photographed, I think it's a fine looking belt. It kind of reminds me like of a bigger version of the original women's title, which I always liked. I thought it was a really good looking title. It's I'll put it this way. It's miles better than the Continental title, which I think looks cheap. And it's, I think, probably better looking than the International title, which I've always liked. I've always liked the International title. Yeah, I think it's a good looking title. It'll just be interesting to see how they book it going forward. I'll ask you again. I asked you this last week. Who wins this match?
So I'm going to guess that Okada wins it all in. And then they have a rematch at some point, and Kenny wins that one. I know Kenny said, hey, one last time. Calculus has changed a little bit now.
Here's my prediction. Either Kenny or Hangman will win their match.
But not both.
Won't be both.
Yeah.
Won't be both. Yeah. You need at least one big feel-good moment. But I don't think you do two. Let's see here. Also, we've got confirmed Mystico versus MJF at Grand Slam Mexico.
Yep.
So this is a pretty lengthy deal here. We had, because it basically and I kind of appreciate it because one match spills into another. So there's a commotion backstage. MVP tells cameraman, hey, you should see this. Opens the curtain. It's the Hurt Syndicate beating down Commander while MJF holds his mask. He spits on it, throws it to the ground. Very disrespectful.
Yeah.
We had a match, Mystico taking on Blake Christian, Vanilla Baby. Why is this guy never getting wins on Maine?
Apparently, he's on quite a winning streak in Ring of Honor.
Really?
That's what they said, yeah.
Wow. Another reason to watch Ring of Honor after all this time. Athena and now Blake Christian.
Yeah.
Vanilla Baby. Can't win on Dynamite, though.
No. Mystico gets the win here with a top row Spanish fly, so Hurt Syndicate comes to the ramp. MVP says, MJF has a message for you, Mystico. And MJF says, that was an impressive win. I'm not easy to impress. I'm going to give you a match next week at Grand Slam Mexico and look forward to ripping that mask off your face. And he says, I'm even dusting off the red, white, and blue for it. And so a huge American flag with MJF's face replacing the stars unfurls from the ceiling and streamers fire off everywhere. So MJF gets the ring and starts to talk, but Mystico interrupts him, takes the mic, laughs at MJF, says, I'll see you next week, and then talks some crap in Spanish. Well, then MJF asks MVP what that means, so MVP whispers what it means. And MJF says, to me, Mystico, you're not Mystico. You're just sloppy Sin Cara, and I'm going to drop you. So MJF takes a swing. Mystico blocks it, punches MJF. Lashley and Shelton hit the ring to lay out Mystico. And MJF's like, I want his mask. So he's starting to try to rip it off, but Speedball, Kevin Knight, and Mascara Dorada hit the ring to make the save because they got a trios match next against Hurt Syndicate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Hurt Syndicate get the win here in a fun match. MVP had to interfere to ensure a Hurt Syndicate win. Speedball goes up top. MVP leaves commentary, and while MJF's distracting the ref, MVP hits Speedball with his cane, and then MJF hits Speedball with the hammerlock and package DDT to get the win. Afterwards, Hurt Syndicate's laying out their opponents, and then Mystico rushes in, hits MJF with La Mystica, and then Hurt Syndicate run the ring, and he takes his leave.
How do you like MJF wearing basically an MVP style gear?
Yeah, that's a good shout out. I like that.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. I kind of like that. I think he works really well with the Hurt Syndicate. I hope this is a longer term thing, man.
Yeah, they do.
Keep him in there for a year or two.
Yeah,
tell some stories.
And then Ty Mello makes her in-ring return. They said she was out for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So she's teaming with Anna Jay against Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. The finish sees Megan Bayne is just wrecking everybody, but Ford's like, tag me in because I'm going to be the one that pins Ty Mello. Mm-hmm. So Megan Bayne tags her in. Ford puts Ty up on her shoulders, but Ty escapes and hits Ford with her finisher while Anna Jay holds back Megan Bayne. So they get the win.
Yep. And that's Dynamite for you. We also had an NXT on Tuesday where we found out how and where the women's title is going to be on the line next. Going to be at Evolution, and there's going to be a series of matches what is it here?
So it's four one-on-one matches, and the winner of all those matches will face off in a fatal four-way. The winner will face JC Jane at Evolution for the women's title.
And I think that's the first actual confirmed Evolution match, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, they set up Liv Morgan and Nikki Bella, but that's not been confirmed. Yeah. So that's pretty neat. We had Obafemi defending his NXT title against LFG winner Jasper Troy. By the way, I got to mention this really quick because our Google Forms winner, wizard Cody Miles, brought this up in the What Do You Want Us to Talk About So Shiloh Hill, LFG guy,
Yeah.
has this really bizarre video series on TikTok and YouTube where he searches the dark web for stuff. And he found this website. And this shit went viral on TikTok. Because like Lacey told me about it. I was like, Shiloh Hill, the LFG guy? He found a website that sells used shoes. But the shoes also have info with them on the site, a name and an age. And so he ordered a pair of cowboy boots. And they arrived and they came with them. And there's like splatter on the boots. And he like got luminol and did like a blood test. And sure enough, it's blood on it. And it came with a VHS tape. And he got a it's funny because in the thing, it's like for you and I thing, he says, I'm going to get myself a VCR, like a VHS player. And he uploaded the contents of the VHS tape on YouTube. And it's like an hour and 15 minutes or so of kind of like nonsense, like a bunch of clips from like old TV shows and movies, but all played in reverse. And then like a graphic. It's like the Shoe Man, the Soul Keeper, and it's SOLE Keeper. So I don't know if this thing is like him, like just being creative with like, I don't know, stuff, or if it's like a shoot, because his YouTube channel is like it's like bizarre. It's like got all sorts of crazy shit on it. Like a lot of it has to do with like there was an AI robot he found on the dark web, but like I don't know. It's all really weird stuff, but it's all like very creative if it's like fake, which it has to be. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. If it's just him doing this, it's actually like really impressive because it's just very creative stuff. So yeah. Anyways,
Interesting. Let's run through this and we can talk about anything that popped out. Show opens up with Jasper Troy attacking Oba in the parking lot. Choke slams him into the hood of a car. So security rushes in to break it up. We got a health update on Oba from Sarah. She says right now the match is on, but is in doubt. And after she delivers a health update, camera pans over to Chase U. They're upset about their loss to Dark State. And Chase tells Kale and Uriah that if we're going to do this, we got to do it my way. And they're like, yes. What does that mean? And so he's like, you can't be late, so on and so forth. So more lectures from Andre Chase, apparently. We get an interview with Jasper Troy. He says attacking Oba is going to cost him anything because Sarah asks, you think where this is going to cost him the match? He says Oba may be hurting, but he's a warrior, and as long as he's breathing, he's going to defend that title. So that was our main event, Jasper Troy versus Oba Femi. Fun match.
Yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun. What did you think of the finish? The finish was kind of weird, like how he hit the power bomb, and then like the ref said that his shoulder was up. Yeah, I thought that was weird, and then he just hit it again.
That was weird. So Oba just hits another power bomb, but like the spot where Oba just chucks him through the barricade, that was cool.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah,
There's a lot of fun stuff. There's a lot of fun
creative, stuff. Yeah.
So after 2 power bombs, Oba gets the win. Then we found out who JC's opponent. Sorry, we found out the process by which JC's opponent Evolution to be determined. So fatal influences in Ava's office, and then JC's complaining that hey Ava, you didn't tell me that Mariah May or Blake Monroe was going to be here. It's like we need to build some sort of rapport. I'm the champ. I need to know what's going on in my division. So Laney Reed steps in and says, I'm ready to face you now. And then JC says, oh, you're taking a page from my playbook. And Laney's like, oh, I got nothing to lose. And then slaps JC for the second time. So Fallon is egging on JC. He's like, oh, now you got to take on Laney tonight. So then JC asks for the match. That match happens later. JC hits a rolling encore for the win. And then Ava's on, that platform that's kind of ringside. And then announces the 4 qualifying matches. Winners of those matches facing off in a fatal 4-way. Winner of that 4-way match will face JC at Evolution.
I thought the match was really good. I thought, what's her name? Laney Reed. I thought she showed a lot.
Laney Reed.
And I liked the video package they did on her. That was cool too. Yeah.
That was cool. Speaking of video packages, we got one about Blake Monroe. That's Mariah May's new name.
It's also apparently the name of a porno actress.
I don't know why they don't like do a basic Google search when they come up with these names.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, this video package was really creative. Took some inspiration from like I Dream of Jeannie, like
There's
60 era.
There's also
sitcoms.
like
Bewitched.
People are pointing out there's like parallels between that and the Sabrina and a bunch of Sabrina Carpenter stuff, which I don't really know much about Sabrina Carpenter, but I've seen I've seen like shit on Squared Circle about that.
Huh. Anyways, pretty well done. All to lead to the announcement of her new name. We got a Trick Williams interview. He's got a TNA title defense against Elijah coming up. And he says next week that he's going to be in a 6-man tag. It's going to be him and AJ Francis and KC Navarro taking on Elijah, Briggs, and Inamura. And he says his team's going to dog walk Elijah, Briggs, and Inamura. Ethan Page defends the North American title against Sean Legacy. Pretty fun match. Ethan Page, not surprisingly, gets the win after Legacy misses a 450. Page hits a twisted grin, so the Ricky Saints rushes in and attacks Ethan Page, clotheslines him out, brawls them backstage, and later on, Ricky's in Ava's office. He can't even talk, like his throat's still all messed up. He has a bandage on it. And Ava's like, you can't keep doing this. I told you to stay home. Now you're going to go home and rest. I want to see you again until you're medically cleared.
Yeah, it seems kind of clear that he's going to be back in NXT for a little bit, probably till the draft is my guess.
Maybe. We have this thing backstage, the TikTok video in the women's locker room where Lash and Kalani are arguing while Sol Ruka and Zarya are watching on. And then Ren steps in. I think she's kind of like, hey, let's not argue and stuff. And then eventually it leads to Lash challenging her to a match. That match happens later. Kalani's on commentary. Lash gets the win after catching a top rope crossbody from Ren Sinclair and hits her with her finisher. Later on, we see NQCC and Miles Bourne backstage. And Miles is like, why was I called here? And Dempsey extends his hand, wishes Bourne good luck. Now he's venturing off on his own. And Miles says, NQCC may be the man that I am today. And Javon Evans steps up and he daps up Miles. And Tavion is inspired, and now he's like, I want my shot at you, Dempsey. And Dempsey tells him, you're not ready.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they've got a whole faction, and that faction is quickly dissipating. I mean, Charlie Dempsey, you think he's got to, look at LFG, look at Evolve, and just reload at this point because, these guys are just better than him, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, they're training together all the time. That's the story. Right. So who's going to know Dempsey's weaknesses better than Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights?
Well, I mean, you got to ask yourself, at this point, shouldn't Dempsey take on more of a Chase U type situation? Where he's the teacher, but there's just so much, he just runs it like an asshole. And so people are like, oh man, I got to fight to get my way out, which is a cool concept, but you got to start reloading and you got to make sure that you're better than the people that you're bringing in. If you want an actual faction to help you in matches and stuff, you got to make sure that you can keep them in check, because if the idea is I graduate by beating this guy, then the turnover is going to be so much.
Yeah. Or just don't run your faction like that. Anyways, later on, we get the culling taken on Briggs and Inamura, preceded by a video package where Sean Spears is addressing Izzy and Nico, since they're the culling now.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
Izzy.
It makes it. The name is the culling, and that's why I love this, because Izzy was like, "Well, yeah, we're the culling. You take out the weak in a culling. That's what a culling is. You take out the weak."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Look at this dude. He dropped the ball, dressing weird, and he just doesn't seem to be too into it." So I took him out. That's what I was doing. Everybody's like, hey, those are actually really good points. I actually really kind of like this. It's just I still find Sean Spears so cheesy. It's hard to get into the culling. But their theme song, the presentation, I think it's all pretty good. It's just Sean Spears is kind of cheesy.
Yeah. He needs to bring back the collar. The huge collar they had when he was Ty Dillinger.
He should definitely not. That's the wrong direction.
Not do that.
He'll be cold.
Lead into it.
He'll be cold.
No, it's his thing. So Spears declares that Izzy was brilliant in making that move and says, that's the type of people that we need to become. And Nico thanks Izzy for taking Brooks out. And Spears says, we know what's next. Taking on Briggs and Inamura. That match happens later. Nico gets the win after pinning Briggs after hitting a Dominator. And later on, Briggs and Inamura in the locker room. Briggs is angry, says, we're better than this. So then AJ Francis and Casey Navarro steps in. They talk some crap, and Casey says, NXT tag titles are going to look great on us. Inamura says, you're really annoying. So then AJ Francis says, I was taking over this locker room before you even started in Noah. Elijah steps in, says it wasn't for AJ and Casey. The TNA championship will be back in TNA. So Casey and AJ leave. So they're going to go talk to the TNA champions. Of course, all setting up the 6-man tag match.
I mean, at the very least, I feel like Briggs and Inamura, they have a hard time winning. They can at least beat the TNA guys.
You'd think so.
You think that
so.
Maybe they'd be able to.
Maybe. And finally, can Tony D'Angelo trust Luca? That's the question. So we get this bit backstage where Luca's on his phone. He hangs up right as Tony walks in. Tony's like, who are you talking to? And Luca's like, don't worry about it. Tonight I'm going to prove that you can trust me. And Tony's like, all right. And so they start to walk together. Tony stops and says, Luca, go ahead. So Tony walks behind him. So they have a tag match against High Rise. Finish sees Stacks coming ringside with a crowbar, but Tony spots him coming, hip tosses him into the ring and chases him out. Luca picks up the crowbar, and Tony turns around and goes, I knew it. I knew you were going to double cross me. So then Tyreek hits Tony with a shot, sends him into Luca, and then High Rise hit their finisher to get the win.
Yeah. Tony D has really fallen off. And
he beat Obafemi.
I feel like
twice.
It was a long time ago. I feel like this should be doing wonders for him and Stacks, and it's really not doing anything for either of these guys. So, I don't know. I guess they should have another match and just move on from there, because this is not. I feel like they didn't really plot out where the story beats should go. Like, where's what's her face and what's Luca really doing?
Oh, Rizzo and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like there needs to be more focused direction on the story here.
Agreed. Now it's just this nebulous idea.
Right.
Can Luca be trusted?
Right.
It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy because Tony's not trusting him. He's going to turn to Stacks.
Exactly. He was like, I was trustworthy, but then you wouldn't trust me, so I decided to not be trustworthy.
Yep.
And that's your NXT review. That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Programming note, tomorrow we'll be back with a count-out, and our SmackDown review will be on Monday. My niece is graduating from college, and so Friday I'm going to be wrapped up in graduation stuff. So that's why we're not doing the SmackDown review. So that's going to be on Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.